Have you ever stopped to think about our homeless population in America? Better yet, have you ever stopped to think about just who makes up this homeless population? Now, everybody here has seen a homeless person, either sleeping on a park bench, in a parking lot asking for food for the night, or on a corner asking for money for food. Now, typically what you see is a middle-aged to older gentleman. Now, what if I told you that that middle-aged man makes up less than half of our homeless population? According to the National Coalition for the Homeless, 40% of our homeless population is made up of children who have no say on what is going on in their lives. Another 23% of our homeless population is made up of our U.S. veterans who have gone and given everything to in turn end up with nothing. And sadly, there's not much being done by our states to help counter this homeless problem. There's not anything being done to make sure that everybody has a roof over their head at the end of the night. Before we can even start to counter the homeless problem, we have to understand why we have a homeless problem. According to Homemade America, it's actually very simple to end up homeless with nothing. Many Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, which means if you lose that job, you lose your only income. You lose your only way to pay the bills, and you can no longer pay your rent or mortgage, and just like that, before you have time to get a new job, you're behind on bills, you're out on the streets, you're homeless. Another common factor is a death of a loved one. If you're like myself and a stay-at-home mother, you lose your significant other, that's your household's income. Before you even have time to react and figure out how to pay the bills or figure out what to do, you have nothing. You can't pay the bills, you're homeless. Another common factor among the homeless community is escaping from domestic violence. You have these people who are in a position that they have to choose between either staying in a potentially life-threatening situation or leaving. And a lot of times when they leave, they can leave with nothing. They don't have jobs, they don't have money, they don't have a place to go. All they know is they're escaping. And just like that, they can end up homeless. And thanks to social media, we're able to see another very common factor in our homeless community, and that's our natural disasters. The most common one is Hurricane Katrina. Now, Hurricane Katrina came through and it destroyed everything. Hundreds of people lost everything. And at that point, they couldn't even turn to friends and family because their friends and family had just lost everything. And we end up with an entire community with nothing, no homes, nothing left. Now that we've covered why people are homeless, let's look at what our states are currently doing to affect our homeless population. The National Law Center on Homeless and Poverty researches and keeps track of new laws being put into effect in different U.S. cities. They have found that new laws affecting our homeless are actually harming them. 50% of U.S. cities have now created laws that prohibit camping in public places, which means it's shrinking where our homeless population is even able to sleep that night. They already don't have a home, and now they're losing other places that they were able to sleep before. 47% of cities have prohibited sitting and laying on public benches, which means, no, yes, you can still sit there, but if you look homeless, the cops now have a right to come harass you and tell you, no, you can't be here, you have to go. 39% of U.S. cities have now prohibited even sleeping in your vehicle, which means these homeless people who are already trying to follow the laws and not sleep on public property can no longer even sleep in their vehicles without being cited and ending up with more money that they can't even pay because they can't even find a house for them. 61% of cities have now banned panhandling. Now, yes, we do have some people that take advantage of panhandling. You see it on the news, social media, everywhere else. But for a lot of our homeless population, panhandling is their only source of income. That's the only way they have that they're going to eat and feed their children that night. Now, not all states are only doing laws that actually harm the homeless. You have states like Rhode Island, where the Rhode Island Coalition for the Homeless pushed and pushed until finally the state of Rhode Island put into effect a Homeless Bill of Rights. Now, this Homeless Bill of Rights basically states what our normal Bill of Rights are, but specifically states for the homeless. This states that just because you're homeless, you're still a person. You still deserve the same basic human rights. You deserve rights to identification cards. You deserve the right to vote. It also prohibits employers from either not hiring or even firing you from a job simply because you're homeless. Connecticut and Illinois have since followed Rhode Island's example and also put into effect a Homeless Bill of Rights. And some other states are starting to look at those and be like, yeah, maybe we should do this too. Now, unfortunately, a lot of states are still not doing anything about it. And a lot of these states, such as Hawaii, have the largest homeless population and doing nothing to help them. Another popular or becoming popular help for the homeless is people are starting to build more tiny homes. Now, these tiny homes are just like regular homes, just tiny. They have they have a bed, a bathroom, and a kitchen, but that's all they have. It's not our traditional house that has multiple bedrooms, hallways, bonus rooms, which means they use less resources to make, and they also cost less and use less labor to build. Unfortunately, most of our tiny homes are being built by volunteers and by religious organizations. But a study in Charlotte, North Carolina housed 85 homeless or previously homeless people. And they have found that housing just 85 people has saved the city $1.8 million in medical bills and jail costs. 100,000 homes found that being homeless can actually shorten your life by 25 years. And because of that, they have found homing these 85 people has caused 447 fewer hospital visits, 372 fewer days spent in the hospital, and 84% fewer jail time or days spent in jail by our homeless population. That $1.8 million that was spent on healthcare and on jail time could have been used to build these people homes and could have benefited our cities, saving taxpayer money. They could have benefited our homeless. And so we all know that homelessness is a problem, and we all know that something needs to be done to fix it. Everybody deserves a roof over their head, no matter what their situation is. I hope you all find it as appalling as I do that it's easier for our government to make it harder to be homeless than to do anything to assist this homeless population. And I really think everyone needs to push their governments to realize that helping our homeless population not only gets these people off the streets, but in turn it saves the government money. And thank you very much for your attention, and I hope we can all do something to help end the homeless crisis in America.